Really thrilled to welcome everybody to the second of the 4 workshops that we are doing together with the South African Holocaust and Genocide Foundation is doing together with Yahad-in Unum. And last week, those of you who were here, you were introduced to Reverend Patrick Desbois, who started Yahad-in Unum in 2004. Yahad, the Hebrew word for together, and Unum is as one in Latin. And so he put those 2 languages together to create Yahad-in Unum, together as one. And what Yahad-in Unum does, it identifies mass Jewish killing sites and collects forensic evidence of these executions. And that's the important thing, is the evidence that one needs. So the team videotapes witnesses' testimonies to these killings. And since 2004, Yahad-in Unum has researched over 3,000 execution sites and has gathered over 7,000 testimonies during the course of research trips across 8 countries. Katarina Duzenko, our esteemed speaker for today, is a Ukrainian, lives now in Paris, and has worked with Yahad-in Unum since 2010 in various capacities, including as an interpreter, a research investigator throughout Eastern Europe, as well as being part of the investigation team that conducts the research in Romania and interviews Roma survivors transported to Transnistria under the Antonescu regime. Today, she is project manager of the In Evidence interactive map, which we're going to look at in the course of today's seminar. Katarina says people are still desperate for this information all these years later, but the organization's work serves not just to bring peace to the victims' families. It's also important, she believes, that Ukrainians, Lithuanians, Poles, Jewish and non-Jewish people know about what lies in their past history. Last week, we had the privilege of listening to testimonies from those who witnessed the genocide, whether they had been requisitioned, were neighbors, whether they were forced to watch, whether they were just curious children or accidental witnesses. We learned how the team, acting as part historians and part detectives, have painstakingly recreated these crime scenes, bearing in mind that they are massive crime scenes because between 1.5 million and 2 million Jews and Roma were shot and buried. Today, under the guidance and tutelage of Katarina Duzenko, we are going to be moving from the field research that we looked at last week to the classroom, to look at the tools developed by Yahad-in Unum for teaching the Holocaust by bullets. Particular attention will be paid to how In Evidence, the interactive map of the Holocaust by bullets, can be used as a teaching tool. It was designed by Yahad-in Unum as an interactive source of information for teachers, for students, scholars, and of course, families of victims. But it also serves as a virtual memorial to the millions of Jewish people who were killed in this Holocaust by bullets. So it is my great pleasure to hand over now to Katarina Duzenko, who's going to take us on what I'm sure is going to be a fascinating journey this afternoon. Katarina, over to you.
Thank you very much, Linda, for this introduction. It was, especially for those who didn't attend the session, it's put us in a mood about, mood, not a good word for the Holocaust, but in a theme of today's conversation. As Linda mentioned, this session will be more practical, but I still will maybe repeat some of the things that we saw last week. but mostly today is to show you the tools that were developed by Yahad-in Unum. They're already made tools. For example, I know that many teachers and educators, they don't have time in their curriculum, not much time to talk about the Holocaust in general, not much time to talk about the Second World War. So we developed the tools, the simple material that can be used without any preparation. And today I will talk mostly about this. So first of all, I will share with you our study guide. I will explain it in the presentation, but maybe for some of you who would like already to take a look at the same time. Just a moment. Sorry, study guide. Normally you should get it all. So I will share my screen. I hope it will be better than last time. Normally I change, I'm in the office, so it should be better. So this is the first one, is the study guide that was developed by one of my colleagues. It's so far it has been translated in different languages, so it's available in French, English, Spanish, Russian, Greek, and Hungarian, as far as I remember, thanks to our partners who did the translation. These study guides propose you introduction from our president, Father Desbois. Also, you have the table of contents where you find information that you can find further. This and not the information, you will have the general information about the Holocaust by bullets. It's really very, very general information, which partially repeats the one that I was talking about last week. What is the Holocaust by bullets? Who can? How did it happen? With the timelines? Who conducted the massacres? In which towns? So all this you can find in the introduction. Then you have also the maps available. The one I showed you last week, with the maps of the death camps, the site of mass executions that were identified by Yahad so far. After you have the map with the Einsatzgruppen, which Einsatzgruppe participated in which massacres on the territory of the Soviet Union. Then you have the same map, the timeline, to work with the students to explain that what are the difference between the Holocaust by bullets and the Holocaust in the death camps, and the timeline to show that the massive executions in death camps started later than the Holocaust by bullets itself. Then we have the categories of the witnesses that Yahad has is the same, the curious, the requisitioned witnesses where we're talking about. We have a small information about the interview methodology and cross-references of the sources, all the sources that are available at our center. Then the information about the 5 steps of the crime, like I said last week, those 5 steps, that's what we developed after several trips after the experience we have, but it doesn't mean that each execution had the 5 steps and each crime repeated the same 5 steps, because everything we can't generalize in the Holocaust by bullets. It's a very complex genocide, which adapts every time not only to the number of victims, but also to their location, to the landscapes, and like I said, to the weather conditions, and many other things that should be taken in consideration while we're talking about the Holocaust by bullets. Next page, these are the most important, is that we develop the study cases. We have 10 study cases from people, from the testimonies that were recorded by Yahad-in Unum. You have 2 testimonies in Lithuania, one in Poland, in Belarus, And in Ukraine, Moldova, you have 2 in Moldova, and all others are in Ukraine, and 1 in Russia. These testimonies, they're completely different testimonies. We wanted to take all the palette of the witnesses that we have. So you will find the Jewish survivor, you will find the requisition people who were requisitioned to dig the pit or who were requisitioned to transport people. You will find those who tried to help either by providing a shelter or some food or by hiding people. You will have as well just eyewitnesses, the curious children who would go to the execution site and who would watch the executions. So before this, you will have also the user manual, which explains how to use this study guide. But let's take a look, a close look at one of the study guides proposed, one of the study cases proposed in this study guide. So for example, this is the study case of Zagare, located in Lithuania. The main witness we interviewed there is Anicheta. You have the date, the birth, the year of her birth. You have the map to locate, because it's very important for the students to locate them, not only in to give not only historical background, but also to explain geographically where this small town is located. Then you have a small information, like just introduction to what was this village before, how many Jews lived in this village, what was the Jewish community, what did they do, and as information, like a very sum up information about what happened there during the Holocaust. You have as well the glossary, because especially this glossary concerns more Soviet words or the words of the Holocaust. For instance, for example, police, local police, or polizei, as they are called in Ukraine, Russia, and Belarus. You have also the explanation who wear the white armbands. So this kind of glossary is included already with the information. So you don't need to search for it. You don't need to, it's really like this cases, pre-made cases gives you all the tools you need to generally describe what is Holocaust by ballots in the precise village and what happened in the precise village. And after, you also have the questions that you discuss with the students. The questions are rather general and based mostly on the testimonies. For instance, how was Anicheta at the time of the events? What happens to the victim's clothes? What are the 5 stages of the crime? What is Anicheta's opinion on the killers and looters? It gives you an opportunity not only to talk about the Holocaust, but also to raise some moral questions, which it depends on the year, how old are your students, of course, still, for example, the question that we raised last week for the requisition people, for how can we describe who were they, if they were collaborators, or if they were forced to do that, if they had any possibility to say no, and do not participate in the crime. So this kind of question you can raise while studying the cases. For example, for those people who tried to save but then refused, because many testimonies, witnesses tell us that their Jewish acquaintances would come to their houses and ask them for help. And you know that under the occupation, it was forbidden under death penalty to help any Jew, to help or to hide any Jew. There were special posters hanged throughout the towns and villages. So what would do a Ukrainian, a Russian, or Belarusian family if they accept their Jewish acquaintances? Would they risk their life? Would a mother risk the life of their children, of her children, to help the Jews or not? So all these questions you can talk about, and it raises not only, let's say, like an historical background, but also moral background, moral questions, and this kind of information. Next case is about Clara. Clara is a Jewish survivor who still, I think, we don't actually, I don't know. I hope she's still alive. She was born in 1934, and she still lives. And back then, when we investigated, she was living in Belarus in her village, Shklov. The same information you will find about the village where she's native from, about Clara, the same glossary, for instance, kolkhoz, that is a collective farm, the action against the Jews, and the question. So Clara's case is very, very interesting, and it's not only, I mean, this is a study guide, but also with the study guides, I included the small short clips subtitled in English with the information about, with all the testimonies that you will need for the study case. So Clara's case is very interesting. She was taken with her mother in a column to the shooting site, and the Germans basically they forced Russians to go to the shooting site to watch the execution. And during on their way, some Russian acquaintances were telling to her and her mother to step back. So because there was no cordon, no policeman between the two columns. So her mother and Clara was stepping back, and they ended up in the column of the Russians, and nobody denounced them. So when they went to the execution, they were standing with the Russians, non-Jewish, and they were watching other Jews being killed. So that's how she survived the execution that time. But after, her life was much more, was not very easy. Her mother was killed at the end by some bandits. She was living with a woman whose son was raising her. So this testimony, I really invite you. It's really very touching testimony. I know, like, for me personally, especially because I work also not only with Jewish victims, but with Roma victims, it's very difficult at the same time, but it's very touching to hear the testimonies of the survivors. And also I wanted to show you the next study case is Evgeny of Ingulets. This man was requisitioned to transport the Jews. And you have, besides the questions, the glossary and information and the testimony itself, you also have here, you see a link to the interactive map, which is this one. You will see it on the right. So each study case has a link which provides you into the interactive map, where you can have even more information that I will show you just in a few moments, what kind of information you can find on the interactive map. So this is the study case available, and I think once my colleague Albert, who is in charge of that, he will provide all the necessary, it's like a toolkit, study guide with the testimonies and all the additional information. And at the end, you also have bibliography with the important books, works that can help you to learn more about the Holocaust and to use this information during your classes. So I will take away, because I think I can do it in live. It will be better to talk about Yahad map. So Yahad map was launched in Evidence. Yahad map was launched in 2013. At the beginning, we sought to make it, because we have a lot of testimonies collected, we registered them, we have them in our center. Part of our testimonies are available at Washington Memorial Museum, but we were looking for a tool to disseminate the results more easily and accessibly to everyone. So the first goal of this map was just to show, to give access to the testimonies that were collected by Yahad. So all of this, you can have a free access, online access to the testimonies that we have in our database. Another goal for this map, it was also to show the scale of the Holocaust. Like we said last week, it is estimated that the number of the Jews killed in the Holocaust by bullets is between 1.2 and 2 million. It's a lot, but if you see, for example, if I make a zoom and you see that all Ukraine is covered with the dots. Dots, both red and blue dots are the execution sites. You can see Poland, where you have the death camps, but you also see that there is execution sites. You go to the South Russia near Caucasus, where the occupation lasted only 6 months. For instance, in this specific Nalchik, which is the last village where the Germans arrived, and where they stayed only 1 week. I'm sorry, not even 1 week, one night, sorry. They still executed the Jews, and there is still information about the execution in Nalchik. And for instance, here in Nalchik is the testimony of a mountain Jew, representative of the mountain Jew, who were not executed, but the Ashkenazi Jews were executed. So this map allows us to show the scale of the Holocaust and to prove to those who still deny that the Holocaust existed, that to give them the tangible proofs of what happened, and these things were real, and these people, the men, were killing other people, and this was not just a cinema, it was not just a dream, it really happened. And another why we started to use this map actually, and we're using it a lot for the educational purposes. As we noticed that it's once again, the curriculum is very limited. The children nowadays, they're more social network, mobile, interactive things. So it's easier for them to consume this information through the interactive source, through the interactive tool, through the images, testimonies. There is text, but it's not that much text, though. So it's much more interactive and easier to teach Holocaust by using this map. And another goal that we put on this map is to, of course, it's not very easy for us because our archive of the photographs are not as big as others institutions, but we also want to show that it's not only the victims, that it's not only million victims, thousands of victims, but there were people, they had their destinies, they have names. And we, with the help with from the testimonies from the witnesses who keep their pictures, for instance, I will show you, because I just put it recently, who keep their memories. For instance, this man who gave us a picture of his class photo, where he pointed out his Jewish classmates who were killed. So this is very important for us to put faces, let's say, on the victims, to give their stories, to give their names. For instance, there were Jenya, Sarah, and Maria, who were killed during the execution that the witness talks about. So this is the main purpose of this tool. Now I will just briefly explain you how to work on it and which information you have, and then we'll have a practical exercise based on the interactive map that you can do with your students. So, like I said, these are all the execution site. These are the execution site of Jewish victims, although we do have some execution sites of Roma, because Roma, they were not only deported. If we talk about this Roma from Romania, from the South Romania, they were deported to Transnistria, but there were also execution sites of Soviet Roma on the territory of Soviet Union. You can have, there is several possibilities to make a research. First of all, if you know the place, or if you're just looking through any, you can just click on the red dot, because blue dots, these are the execution sites that were identified by Yahad, but we're still preparing this information, so they are not available. You will see soon online. So my work and the work of the people who work on this is to transform these blue dots into red. But any red dot you can click and you will have an information about the village. Otherwise, if you're looking for a specific village, you can just put it put it in the research. I'll check. I'll just take Ravaruska because all his story started from Ravaruska, as the grandfather of Patrick Dubois was deported there. So you click and you will have another information from the Ravaruska. You can also make the search by country. For instance, you choose Belarusia, and you will have all the execution sites in Belarusia. So as you can see, Belarusia is one of the countries where Yahad investigated almost everywhere. There's just little spaces that left, but once again, want to point it out that this interactive map is not all the execution site that existed. There you will see that there is some blank points that are missing because Yahad-in Unum didn't investigate in those places. So we believe once we go there, there will be more execution sites. So each time you have a total number of the documented sites. So each time this number changes as the trips go along and we find new execution sites. After, you can find also full text research. For instance, if you're searching all the text that is related to the Holocaust, if you, let's say, I'll put ghetto, just type it correctly, you will have all the information that matches with the ghetto. So this, you have almost 600 results where the ghetto is mentioned. So it gives you an opportunity. For example, if you do with your students, you can have a class or talk about the ghettos in general. So you discuss what is ghetto. You can make a selection of the villages where the ghetto is mentioned, and to see if the ghettos are the same, if they're different from one country to another, if they're different from one region to another, how much time do they exist, because in some, like I said, in some places the ghettos were put from July 41, although in other cases, in other regions, the ghetto were put only in spring and it was liquidated already in summer 42. So it didn't exist so much time. You can also have, because Holocaust by bullets is not only the shootings, there are different methods, other methods that were used to kill the Jews. For instance, the Jews were burned inside the barns or inside the synagogues. They were drowned in some places. Germans would make them walk inside the water, inside the river or the lake or any, and make them swim. If they drown or if they try to get out from the river, they would shoot them from the submachine guns. Another very cruel ways was during the investigation in Donbass. Like I mentioned last week, in Donbass, they arrived already when it was November, the winters were coming, the ground was cold and frozen, so they didn't have much choice because they couldn't, even with dynamites, they couldn't dig the pits. So they would use either the mines just to throw the victims after being gassed in the gas vents into the mines, or in one case in Artomovsk, they were walled up alive in the Champagne mines, in the Champagne corridors where you stock champagne, so they just wall them up alive. But in case, for example, if you want to see gas vents, which were also largely used, especially in Russia, in this area, you can make a research by gas vents. There is another type of research. If you're just wondering, you don't know what to search, which information you want to see, you can go to the media wall, which is this one. It takes a little bit of time because the map is very, it's heavy a little bit, and my internet at work is not very good, but just a minute and you'll see. So on this media wall, you have just pictures, photographs, you have also video clips that are moving. You have archival pictures from the villages or from the institution that granted the right to use them. So if you just don't know where to look, you can click, for instance, on Conskia, and you will be redirected to the village profile, to the edits where you can find more information. I will come back to our study case. Ilinci will work today on this. Just to explain you which kind of information you have once you are on the village profile, what you can see. So here you see the execution sites. These are the execution sites. There are 3 execution sites in Ilinci. We can see also this is a satellite view, so you can see that one of the execution sites was rather far from the city center, so it's less possible that there would be eyewitnesses to this execution, although other, especially this one, was just in the middle of the town, even though before this town was smaller than it is today. So once you click on this, you will have archival photograph. You will have a short clip subtitled in English. Like I said, not all our full testimonies are subtitled in English, but all the short clips that you will find on the map are subtitled in English. They are mainly from 3 to 6 minutes. For some of the very interesting testimonies, you can find it up until 7 minutes, but I think 3 or 4 minutes will be enough to work on the testimony. Then you will have pictures, photographs taken by Yahad's team from the places related either to the Jewish life, to the Jewish pre-war life, or to the Holocaust. For instance, here's this cemetery. This was the Jewish school. You have also the places related to the administration that was back then. For instance, this was Gendarmeria or Gestapo building. This one was a police station. Then here you have the road, the ghetto, sorry. This is where the ghetto was installed. You have the synagogue, and like this, you have the pictures of the witnesses. And you have, after the witness on the execution site or on the site that we were talking about together with the team, we also have diagrams like I showed you last week for the crime scene that we developed. For instance, in this case, as you can see here, we have 2 witnesses that saw the same execution, but they have different points of view. We will see after when we will work on the study case. But like I said, we cross-reference not only with the archives, but also with the witnesses between cells. And for instance, with this witness who was very close to the execution site, and another one who was a little bit far and who didn't provide the same details as the one who was close. And the execution sites themselves after. You also have another text information, text witness interview. This one is from a Jewish survivor. Before this, you have the information what this place was before, because like I said, the Germans, when they arrived, the Germans, Romanians, when they arrived in the village, they would rely to choose the place on the policemen, on the local administration, because they know better the structure of the village, they know better the places. But in many cases, what we find out during the investigations, that the Jews were either taken to be killed at the Jewish cemeteries or somewhere near in the ravines, which sand quarries or stone quarries, like these cavities where they can exterminate easily a big amount of people without putting a lot of efforts for digging the pits. It can be also the anti-tank ditches that were dug before the Germans' arrival by the Soviets in order to stop the tanks, but they didn't. So they try to use already the structure that exists to save time, because they are, like we said, they are mobile squads and they need to move forward. And as we saw, there were only 3,000 men. it was impossible for them to kill so many victims without the help of their local collaborators. Then you have the information about the memorials, if there is memorial or no. It depends on the country. There is, in Ukraine, for instance, there is a very big problem with the memorials because most of the places are not marked. They happen to be in someone's field today, which they work on this field. Someone's happened to be in the yard. So, but it's really in Ukraine, it's a very big problem in general with the policy of memorialization. But in some countries, for instance, Belarus and Lithuania, Poland as well, I can say, so mainly, the execution sites are marked and there is a memorial. The period of the occupation and the number of victims also. This is very specific details about the number of victims because we will never know for sure how much victims were killed in this or that place unless we have the information from the archives, which also can be sometimes overestimated, as we noticed that during our researches. For instance, in Soviet archives, the number is always overestimated because the Soviets wanted to get the payments of the damage that Nazi Germany did to the Soviet Union. So in some cases, they would add another zero to the number of, let's say there were 2,000 Jews, they would put 20,000 Jews. And the number of Jews is underestimated. Sometimes the number of victims is underestimated in the German archives. So with this information and with the information that the witnesses provides, or sometimes there is memorials on the place with another number of the victims. So we try to put an average number or to propose all the numbers that exist, but we don't claim that this number that we put is the definite number and exact number of the victims that were killed there, because unfortunately, once again, we will never know how much victims were killed. There you have also the Soviet archives, you have the German archives. You have also a historical note, a small historical note, once again, about the Jewish community. It was done on purpose to show how prosperous was the Jewish community, how their life was before the war, what they did, what were the relationship between the Jews and non-Jews. And for instance, in Ilyinsky, on the eve of the war, the Jewish community represented 64% of the population. It's more than the half. In some parts, villages of Western Ukraine, they were 80, sometimes even 90% of the population. So you can imagine like how was the Jewish life before, and once the Germans came, what did they do to the community? They destroyed them completely, because today, unless here is more or less the synagogue is preserved, but it's not even used as the synagogue is not restored, but still you can have the building. But in many villages, the buildings don't exist anymore. The cemeteries don't exist anymore because the Germans destroyed them during the war, or people would take those tombstones to pave the roads. So this gives us an idea of how, let's say, how the consequences of the Holocaust. It's not only, it destroyed not only, killed not only people, but destroyed all the culture, destroyed the tradition. And today, for instance, in Ilyinsky, there is no Jews at all who live. And then we have a Holocaust by bullets and figures. This is basically a summary of what happened in the village based on the archives and on the testimonies provided by Yahad. With the cross-reference methodology, we also combine information, because in Soviet archives, or in archives in general, we can find that there was a ghetto, that the ghetto wasn't closed, but then we come there and the witness who lives just in front of the ghetto and says that the ghetto was fenced in with the barbed wire. We believe the witness, because he, first of all, as the information, he was there, he lived just in front of the ghetto. So this information we add to the Holocaust by bullets and figures. And after, you also can have like different links to the pages related to either to the Jewish genealogy. For instance, this is Jewish genealogy page, but we also have the partners like Holocaust Atlas of Lithuania. This is the map of the execution sites, but only in Lithuania. We have also links to Yad Vashem testimonies, because in this case we have the Jewish survivor, but sometimes we do have the testimonies of the bystanders, but Yad Vashem provides the testimonies of the survivors. So for us, and also in educational purpose, it's very important to provide different perspective, to cross-reference all the sources that are available either on our website or on Yad Vashem or any other institution that gives precious information that misses to fill the puzzle and to understand the crime in a specific place. So, and the last information that I want to tell you and to encourage all of you to do, because like I said, the testimonies are available in the language of the witnesses, Ukrainian, Russian, Lithuanian, but in Lithuania, for example, we translate the testimonies in English, so you can request the full testimony that we will send just the link, so you can watch from any locality, village, town you are interested in. In some testimonies, we do have subtitles, English or French subtitles. If not, we do have the transcripts. Most often they're French or English, but with Google Translator, you can always have an understanding of what the witness is talking about if you put this transcript in the Google Translator. So this is what we will work on, this interactive map. In the case of the ELNC, I will just share with you. Just one moment. I will want to give you. Sorry, I want, because you can see my screen. I will wait. I will just for a moment to stop it. I will share you a document on which we'll work. Actually, is a study case on ELNC. So if you can, those of you can download it. This is an example of the study case that you can work with the students. Before to explain you, I want just to share back my screen and to play the testimony that is available on the interactive map for this village.
Коли я прийшов рано в Богдан, нікого немає, відкритий, брама відкрита. Я зайшов, подивився, все вроді там на місці, інструменти є, євреїв немає, нікого немає. І хлопці моїх це два того немає. Заходять два німці. І Юда ком-ком. Я махаю, що не, ком. І забрали мене і в цей синагог єврейський кинули. Це було часов десь 9. А в часов 2 вже зібрали євреїв і гнали на розстріл. І в тому числі і мене туди потаскали. Ну, благодаря чому? Я просто в такому хаосі був, що я не розбив, що таке, що діло. Але коли вигнали туди, на могилу на ту, до окопів, до тих, що розстрілювали, то в партизанах був і в поліції один сільський хлопець. Його фамілія, Андрей його звати, забув фамілію. А до війни, він старший на років 4 мене, то я купив фотоапарат, а він купляв закріпити, проявити, ми вчилися фотографувати. Та як мене вигнали туди, там чоловік було ровно 500, не менше, а може й більше. От. То я побачив його, крикнув Андрей, він обратив на мене. Тоді він підійшов до переводчика, а там за метрів 40-30 вони від цієї оцеплення якось. Та й каже переводчику, що він світ українець, плохотний. Він каже німця, а німець стоїть в кожаному пальто, кашкет такий, 2 кістки тих поперед. Та й говорить з переводчиком, а переводчик вже там дивиться на цю сторону, каже, де він, хай виходить. Я вийшов, а він каже, що ти тут? Я йому розказую, що я вчуся на бункера, так і так, так і так. Він сміється. А тут вже роздівають євреїв наголо, і дітей, і всіх вже стріляють, б'ють в котлованці. Та й каже, вон на хаузе. Коли розстрілювали і роздівалися, то була спеціальна подвода, яка забирала одежу цю всю, із дітей, із дорослих, тому подобно, і везли цей костюм. Я вам покажу, де цей костюм. І туди складали це все. Ну, поки довезли, то його половину розбирали. Тоді мужики жадні були. Хто понімав, то не трогав, а те, хто розхватували це все. І тоді злажували. Ну де вони дівали, я не знаю, я не пам'ятаю цього. Продавати вони не продавали. Його так розібрали. Без нічого. От.
А коли вас повели до синагоги, то всі євреї вже там були?
Були вже повний зал цей єврейський. Вже були.
А велика була будівля цегляна?
Цегляна.
Велика?
Велика будівля, я вам її покажу. Я хотів би вам все показати, де я був, звідки забрали, куди повезли, звідки привезли.
Покажете.
Щоб це все ви бачили на віду.
А коли вас сюди привели, то вас з якого боку вели?
Ну, так як ми їхали з Ліни,
Так.
тудою, проти цього учебного заведення,
Так.
сюди йшла дорога.
Була дорога.
Полева
Ага.
така. Ну, сюди на цей флаг привели, окружили.
Ага.
Тут було ще окруження цих поліцаїв, що стояли і тому подобне, крім цього.
Ага.
І окруження були. А вже второй раз, як били, второй раз, то розбіглися євреї. Но було холодно, це осінь була. І, по-моєму, що навіть сніг був трохи. Тікали на ліс, ліс Ездорадо, то їх не стріляли. Бо мій друг Фіма, Резнік, то він втік з одним. Може, ще хто втік, ну втік він, а рядом село ось є Борисівка. То він до цієї Борисівки добрався, йому дали одежу, він голий був повністю. Дали одежу стареньку, і він попав в партизанський отряд.
Ясно. А ви коли сюди прийшли, то тут на місці вже на вас чекали німці?
Вже все було готово, яма, все, тільки ждали.
А де ви приблизно зупинились? Отам, де оці кущі чи далі за кущами?
Ну, примерно так, як оці кущі від ями.
На я люблю скепити.
Метрів 30 від ями.
А німець отой, що в чорному, де він був?
Він був на орки, там стояв далі.
Ага, там прикрила.
Так. У нього ще офіцери стояли.
Ага.
Я
І він
не
просто
продав.
наблюдав за цим всім.
Да. Давав указання.
І ви отам стали, і вам сказали всім разом роздягатися, чи по групах сказали?
Не, роздягатися. І самі вже роздягалися і йшли до ями. Самі. А не хочеш, то гумою дасть, то роздягайся.
А по скільки чоловік до ями вели?
Скільки розділося, стільки біжав самі.
Самі біжать?
Аби прикончити сам себе, щоб не мучитися.
А вони понад ямою ставали і стріляли? Чи вони до ями
До ями
пригали?
добігали, і падали, і живі, і мертві ходив, і стріляв. І стоячих стріляв, падали. І хто скочив в яму, то прийшов до стріли.
Ну, але стріляли ще біля ями, чи вже у ямі?
І в ямі дострілювали.
І біля ями теж
Біля
стріляли?
ями. Але в яму.
А один тільки стріляв?
2 чи 3.
This This is the testimony. Let's now, if Danny can help me with to break. Basically, I would like you also to take the role of the students and to work on this study case of LNT and to answer in groups on the questions that you will find in the document I sent. Unfortunately, I don't think we have much time to for you all to work on the same questions. So I think we'll divide you by groups and by the steps of the crime. From the testimony, I think you all noticed that a witness was talking about specific, I hope you noticed the specific step of the crimes. So we will work in groups for about 10, let's say 15 minutes, I guess, if we have those 15 minutes, and then we will discuss, you will have one representative from the group to answer on the questions, and if someone have something to say, you're welcome to say. So let's do it like this, if you don't mind. I hope it works. It's true that we're many of us, but I hope we can make it work. Daily?
Yes, rooms are created and I'm opening them now. So please just accept and come in. Katarina, Gila in room 1 asked for help. So do you want to join that room? Can you see them to join the breakout room to talk to them?
I can't join them.
You can't join.
I can see, I see only my room 6 and that's all I can do.
Okay, oh, that's strange. So I made you a co-host, but let me move you to that room then and see if you can help them out.
Very strange.
Okay, I've added you to room 1.
Okay, thank you.
Katarina, sorry. Some people don't have access to the document. Do you think you could send it to me in the chat and I could send it to the breakout rooms? Oh, sorry, you're muted.
I'm sorry, I just did it 1 minute ago, so it's already on the chat once again.
I think it might only be in the breakout room you were in.
No, because I'm not in the breakout anymore. I'm not in the room. I'm actually in the general
Chat. Could you send it to me again? Would you mind?
Sure.
If you just send it to me, I don't know why I can't seem to get it to go to the other places. Because once they're in the group, they only have a certain chat, and I don't know why I can't get them into the place. Okay, great.
And it's very strange, but I don't have any access to the rooms. Only the one you appoint me.
I don't know why that would be, because I have you. Because I made you a co-host, so technically you should be able to be anywhere, but for some reason it doesn't seem to be happening that way.
Yeah.
Don't know.
That's strange.
Don't know why it won't let
Danny,
me.
I've also
Yes.
just sent you the document.
I beg your pardon?
I've just sent you the document in the chat.
Thank you. Okay. Justine, can you use the breakout rooms? Can you do things in the breakout room or no?
Initially, yeah, but now I can't seem to, because I was trying to allocate Katarina, but I can't seem to do that either.
Don't know why this is.
And I'm a bit nervous to touch anything in case.
Feel free to touch things. Go for it. I don't know what's going on.
With regards to the breakout room, I'm trying to, oh, okay, now I think I can, so is there a specific room that you want to send Katarina to? Because I seem like I can.
Oh yeah, room 3, if you wouldn't mind. They're looking for help.
Okay, let me try.
And then I think someone in room 6 asked for help. I'm not sure. Do I? I'm also trying to think about how one closes the breakout room.
Katarina,
Yes.
do you see the little thing at the bottom that says breakout rooms?
Yeah, but I have only one room number.
So
Very
okay.
affected.
That's very strange because you're a co-host, so you should have access to all of them.
Yeah, normally, yeah.
Yeah,
But I can't even see the rooms. I mean, it's only.
That's strange because I'm trying to find you, but I can't seem to.
Justine, did you send them to Orly in room 3? She keeps asking for help.
Oh, should I send the document to Oli?
Yeah, do you mind?
Not a problem.
Thanks.
Down the room. Is there a possibility for you to put me on room number 3 or no?
I'm struggling to. Let me see.
What room are you meant to be in? Okay. So, did you go into room 3, Justine? No?
I'm getting there just now.
Okay, Katarina, I'm putting you in room 3.
Okay, yeah.
And let me go to room 6.
Danny?
Yes.
Danny, I was trying to call you because there were 3 of us in a room and we hadn't a clue what we were supposed to do.
Oh, I'm sorry. What room are you in? Sorry, my
I
phone's
think
not
it
working.
was 6, but there were 3 of us and they've gone and maybe will come back, and I just came out of the room because we don't know what we're supposed to be doing.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Mickey. I think Katarina wanted people to look through the manual, but she's in room 3 now. I can put you into room 3 if you'd like, and then she can explain.
Yeah, but we couldn't even manage to download the manual. Or I think I did somewhere, but it's a PDF, so I'm not sure where it is.
Okay, I'll ask her maybe for us to leave the room. So I'll move you to that room, and then I'll ask her maybe to leave the room.
Danny, there are a few of us with the same issue. I see a few of us have come back to the main screen. We weren't sure what we were supposed to do, and we couldn't download. I'm just technologically challenged. I couldn't download it. I think I couldn't get it on my screen. So yeah, we're just not sure what we're supposed to be doing.
Of course.
Yeah, well,
okay, I'm going to add you guys to room 3, which is where Katarina is now, and then I will hopefully then I'll just get her to add to the session to like bring it back to everyone, and I'll put her then we can maybe do it back in the main session.
Thank you. Thanks.
So I'm just going to move you guys over.
Hello?
Hello, I can see, but not everyone.
Can you hear?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can hear you. Actually, it's on the room 3 that I can hear. It's a little bit messy, I'm really sorry, but what we can start already with those who are here is to answer on on the questions. Let's say whoever wants to talk, feel free, raise the hands. From the short clip that we saw just a couple of minutes ago, because of the document, not everyone had access for some reasons, and I couldn't join all the rooms also. I'm sorry, this was a technical bug, but anyway, who can tell me which are the 5 steps of the crime that were that the witness talked about, and that we talked about this time and last week? Anyone?
You mean the order that the things happened?
We missed that because we've only just come back into the session again. Can you repeat?
Yeah, sure. There was the testimony we saw, the 6-minute testimony we saw. According to the testimony, which 5 steps we can identify, and also those who were last week who were talking about them. So which 5 steps the witness from the short clip is talking about?
The crime scene.
The crime scene was at the end, but with
you
what?
know, the order that things happened in.
Yes, which
So they were first all gathered together.
Right.
I think then they had to walk somewhere.
Yeah, the road. So first was arrest, the road, then
they got undressed.
Undressing, yes. Then the next.
And then they were shot into the pits.
Shooting, right? And the last one?
And then they took their clothes.
The clothes. Okay, so these are the 5 steps, and once again, they're not all the time repeated on the each crime scene. Talk about, for example, if we take the arrest, do we know who arrested the Jews?
We spoke in our group about both, of course, the local Polizia, Gendarmerie, and police, but of course also there was German presence. So you have both. And we were not sure from which Einsatzgruppen. We thought maybe Einsatzgruppen C, because or D. We were not sure who operated there.
It was in this area, it was Einsatzgruppe C who passed because it's Vilnius, so it's most probably them. But it's true that on the execution site there were policemen, there was a gendarmerie, and there were this Einsatzgruppe. From the specific uniform that the testimony, the witness described, because they had leather coats, they had skull and bones signs. And also from the archives, because we have the reports from the archives. It's most probably there were security police, which were part of the Einsatzgruppen. So this is correct. And we know, even though it's not mentioned clearly in the testimony that they were gathered by the Germans, but we know that the witness himself was arrested by the Germans and took to the execution site. So we suppose that all the Jews had the same process. So they would go from one house to another house to force the Jews out of the houses and to take them directly to the execution sites. From time to time, it depends on the locality. They would first gather them at some big place, like the synagogue in this specific case, actually, the synagogue or the school, or another place where they can first gather them all together and then take all together to the execution site. Could the local population approach the synagogue, approach the place where they were confined? Someone? It's only based because we didn't have time to read all the Soviet archives and German archives, but from the testimony, was it possible to approach? Did it have time? Because the witness in the testimony gave us the timeline. He was arrested at 9, and by 2 they were already taken to the execution site. So do you think it was possible for local people to approach the synagogue?
No.
No. It's first of all, it was very little time. Second, there was all over guarded by the policemen. So it's true, it wasn't possible to approach. If we take the road, we know that there were several killings from the Soviet archives. There were at least listed. I'll just share my screen rather quickly. In Soviet archives, it's listed at least 2 execution sites, so one in April and another one on May. We have the same execution site that are repeated in the reports of the security police with approximately the same number of the victims. So the testimony the witness is talking about, as we can see from the, for example, from the Soviet archives, the Jews were rounded up and taken to the former Jewish school. Although this is actually, the witness is talking about the execution site that was taking place in May 42. So the only thing is, it wasn't a Jewish school, it was a synagogue. And the witness showed at the place where it was. Another question that I have, according to the, for example, for the undressing, why do you think they would undress them? Why to go? I mean, undress. Sometimes they undress naked, strip naked completely. Sometimes they take only the upper clothes or only those clothes that look good, new. So why would they do? Why the executioners, the Germans, would do that?
To humiliate them.
Wanted us to sell the clothes.
Of the clothes, right? To humiliate them. Another reason.
The clothes would be full of blood if they didn't take them off before.
That's true.
That's what I think.
That they couldn't run away. I don't know.
They couldn't.
The element of perversion.
Sorry?
The element of perversion and blatant cruelty on their part. And also they can give the clothing to other people that are not Jewish.
Yeah, that's good.
Katarina, the person said there was an element of perversion. They were perverted.
They were perverted. Yes, in some cases, you can say that too. It's like a way to dehumanize them in some way, to undress them. And there was also someone said that they couldn't run, and it's true. It was very difficult for a naked man or woman to run and to hide. She will be noticeable everywhere. Another why they take the clothes as well, because Jews, that's what the testimonies told us, Jews would hide golden things, valuables inside the clothes. So this is why they take them off after to search, to take the gold and to send it either to Germany or to take in many cases local police would take everything they found for them. Take advantage of those things, but all the reasons you said, they are correct, and it's true. The moment of the shooting, from the testimony, can we say how the shooting was conducted? Can we the particular details, how it was conducted, by whom, how many there were?
Two or three shooters.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And they shot them on the edge of the pit, and the people that jumped in the pit, they shot them from above.
Yes. That's right. And who was present on the execution site, beside the Germans?
The children.
Who? Sorry?
There were children, weren't there, that used to go to the execution sites?
Yes, because we have another witness, it's true, who was children who watched it, but from far.
Yeah.
And some other civilians that we can, that we remember of, or like
the Ukrainians.
Ukrainian and police, yes, police, and also there was a translator who was also most probably, as far as I remember from the testimony, a civilian, a Ukrainian. So this, when we talk about the executions, it's not only, like I said, all the structure, the local structure is used, talking about the things, the places, but also talking about the local stuff, including the translators, including the starosta. Starosta is the mayor of the village or the small place of the town, who would basically be the man in between the Germans and the local population, because the Germans would come to him to ask for requisition people, or to ask for cards to transport the Jews, or to ask for a translator. So he would be the one who will have to fill all the requests from the Germans. If we're talking about the execution themselves, when was the execution conducted? From the testimony, the man said it was at 2 p.m. they were taken to the execution. So we suppose that this execution was conducted during the day at broad daylight. And was there the possibility for others to see this execution or no?
Mm.
So could someone see the execution? I mean, it's an obvious question, but it's true. I'm sorry. I know you're not, I mean, you're teachers, educators, people who work on the Holocaust. So it's very obvious question, sometimes may be considered stupid, but it's just to put you in the situation for you to work with the children, with the students, with the children during your historical classes. So in this case, yes, there were witnesses. There were two, as we have it from the diagram that we saw on the map. The two, one was just 8 meters from the site, and another one who was a little bit further across the road. Were there any survivors to this execution? Yes.
Yes. Yes, they spoke about, was it Fanny, was his name, that escaped and joined the partisans, together with the witness, actually, that also joined the partisans.
Yes, that's, if his name was Fima Reznik, the witness provides his name. And this raises another question. Thank you for mentioning that he joined the partisan, because in this specific case, in this village, there was a partisan unit organized by a Jew, and most of the Jews joined this partisan unit. It was not a unique case, and this kind of cases you also can work on to see, because I remember during the presentation sessions, people ask sometimes why they, mostly non-Jews who ask this, why they didn't resist, why they just followed the Germans, the same testimonies, why they were so like a cattle, you know, like sheep, just following the column without resisting. They were arrested by 5 men, and that's all. They could have just resist, run away, and maybe some of them would be killed, but others would survive. So this, an answer to this question. It's not all the time they just followed the Germans, they just followed this destiny, let's say, but there was resistance. There was cases, you can just put on the map resistance or partisan, and you will have some cases, especially in this Ilinci, but also in I don't have this name, I just left my, in Belarus, where you have basically, because of the local partisan movement, you have much more partisan, Jewish partisan who participated, and we remember about this resistance in the ghettos, in the big ghettos. So this topic is also something that you can talk with about the thank you, Janine. I just read your answer about the guy escaped naked. Thank you very much. Just to make it a small summary, unfortunately, I'm really sorry it couldn't work. It's true that big number of people and also Zoom is not very efficient for these cases, for these works. I really hope that this pandemic finish and we can make a good session with presence in person, so we can talk, we can discuss. It's there's many questions to arise and to talk about. The interactive map that you have on the in evidence map, we don't claim that this information is the true information that exists. This all information is based mostly on our testimonies. You should also take this, like to have this in mind, testimonies. There were children, they were not adults, they were not professors, they were not historians neither. So even though the information they provide, we cross-reference it with the archives, we cross-reference with other testimonies. So we believe actually that this information is true, because it's not only one who says that they were killed in this way, they were undressed, or they were, they provide different details, but all of them provide the same details. So we believe that this information is true. But once again, it's not like the general truth, it's just the testimonies and the results of our field research. This in evidence map, I really invite you. Next session is very interesting. My colleague Michał, I'm making a small promotion, not because he is my superior, but his presentation really will be very interesting, because he will have more time to focus on one village, on one crime in details. Because for me, the first session I had to cover all the information. The in evidence map is also more general overview of the crime in the village, but he will focus on specific crime with the specific testimonies, with several testimonies actually on by focusing only on one crime and on one village. So I really encourage you to listen to his presentation, and I'm really thankful for this opportunity, for this partnership that we have, and for your participation, and for having been so many of you listening to this and participating in these 2 sessions. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Katarina. Katarina, I'm sure that everyone agrees with me that this was a really fantastic session. What I would like, I actually downloaded the 2 resources, but they seem not to have arrived. So I'm wondering if there's another way that we can get the resources that you shared. Are they on your website? And can we just go and get them? Tali, you have them?
I have them. So can we send it to all those that registered? Will that work?
Fantastic. That would be wonderful. That would be absolutely wonderful, because in our group, although we didn't have the resources, we did discuss how they could be used, how important it is to have these resources, and how we can sort of use them with our learners. So Katarina, again, this has been the second most wonderful seminar with you. So thank you very much. And I'd like to, just on behalf of everyone, thank you. Tali, I don't know if you want to say a few words, but it has been a wonderful session. Thank you, Katarina. And we'll see everybody next week.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much.
Bye, everybody. Bye.